All right, here we go. Welcome to our session today, talking about student feedback and students giving each other feedback and those opportunities in our classes, and working and the groups feature in Canvas as well. So, looking at our session today, I just want to kind of uh, share our norms and our expectations for our session today. I know you all have seen these before, but just want to remind you of that, and thinking about, the opportunity to practice forming new habits of mind as we're learning and digging into some new tools. And actually, one of the things I'm going to share today, something I've not actually used in Canvas um, yet. So myself. So and then thinking about our impact on the group today. We're gonna Our agenda for today. We're gonna look at our current context. What um, you may already be doing in terms of students providing feedback to each other. But then we're also going to look at some specific tools with the classic discussions, setting up groups, peer review, and the collaborations tool within Canvas. So, thinking about our current context and student feedback opportunities, what in some of your courses, what are some opportunities where students are able to provide feedback to each other at this that you've already set up in your courses?
Within the EdTPA seminar that we do, they have 3 separate tasks for their licensure. And for each of those tasks that they create, they always have a peer partner to give feedback, because peers are able to give them a lot more feedback than we are as instructors. So we use lots of peer feedback in EdTPA.
And using the peer review feature for that. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Anyone else?
Well, I've had students give each other feedback on presentations that they've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So being able to provide, and what this kind of goes into our next slide as well. What are some tools that you use to set that up, Julia?
Well, so of course, pre-COVID, that was something that basically they did using a Google form. So they would they would fill out the form, which would mirror the rubric, and provide comments and feedback. And then I would, you know, I would just simply copy out the ones that were for the students and email them quick to them. So I've done it that way. Um, this semester, because of COVID and everything, I am going to try using the peer review feature of assignments in Canvas, but it'll be the first time I've used it with students.
Yeah, great. Yeah, there are a lot of great kind of external tools like the use of Google Forms, which is something I've used before, and students have that link, and they, just go in and they have the rubric available to them, and they select which student that they're providing feedback for, and then being able to pull that, which is great for having some discussions with students as well, and sharing as Robbie mentioned, having students provide the feedback to each other sometimes comes across better than some of the feedback. And we could say the same thing, but hearing it from another student, can have a positive impact that may not have been available before. So we're going to look at some of these specific tools and within Canvas. And thinking about these tools, has anyone done any with discussions, any like group discussions or group assignments? maybe something new. Has anyone used the collaborations tool in Canvas? That's the one that I have not actually used myself. And just because and when we get there, I'll talk about what I have done in the past, but I actually learned a few new things by kind of looking at these. So we're going to start with our first tool with classic discussions. Any of you all have used the basic discussion board in Canvas? Is there anyone who has not used it?
I haven't.
Okay, great. Well, then we'll do a quick little overview of how to use it. And we're going to exit this briefly, maybe. Having some difficulties with my screen today. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go into our academic continuity training course. And there's a couple of ways that you can set up discussions. You can go directly from the navigation tool on the side of the course if you have that activated, and you just hit the plus discussion, which will show up which will show up the same way that I'm going to show you in just a second. You can also, if you are setting up modules in your course, then you could, let's just say that I have a module that I'm going to call module 4 student feedback. So we can have a specific modules for that. I'm going to publish my module real quick, and I can go to the plus button and I can create a discussion, and I can just hit new topic and I can name student feedback, and I can add the item there, and then I can actually click on the name of the student discussion, and I can then go in and I can put whatever I would like the prompt to be. One of the things that we're working on in the CTL is thinking through like these types of prompts that we provide for students with discussions. You all know that we use a lot of kind of discussion protocols or thinking protocols, which are great, open-ended. And so I could, I can respond. I can put whatever I want to here for the students. I can also build in Canvas Studio where I can I can record a little message of what I want them to respond to, or if I wanted them to actually like watch a YouTube video, I have one. Let's just do. Here's one from a course that we built for Student Life. And so they can respond, and then below it, I can list like the prompts or the questions I want them to respond to. So I can, allow threaded replies. I love this piece of the discussions because users must post before seeing replies. So they have to do their initial response before they can see any others. It can also be graded. And so then it will tell you like how many points is it worth, how to display it, where you can put it in your different grouping. If you have like different categories, like I have an assignments category, a discussions category, a quizzes category, an exams category. We'll come back to the peer review piece. And then you can put the due date that you want it to be due. So let's put this upcoming Sunday. You can also make it available from a certain time. So if you want students that you can only respond between today and then here, then it's only going to be available. So if they miss that window, they miss the window there. And so I'm able to then kind of have my discussion post, and it shows up for students to be able to go in and respond. And this is where they can reply to each other. They can do the initial reply. I have seen some faculty members use this to do their student presentations now, where, especially when we went remote in the spring, where instead of doing the presentation maybe in a synchronous Zoom meeting, they have students upload their presentation here, and then the students can reply to each other and provide feedback on their presentations. So I like that idea of kind of a new way to share presentations and have students provide feedback. So students can reply to each other on that. And so let's take a look in this example course at, we don't have, oh, that's a group discussion. We'll come back to that one. I'm hoping to, no. I've had my faculty who are in this course go back in and respond, but they can easily go in and respond to each other. And that's just a regular discussion post that you can have. The other that you can have is you can have group discussions, and groups are a great tool that you can use as a collaborative tool for students where they can work together on group projects and assignments. So it can be a group assignment. It can also be a group discussion. And I'm going to show you how to take that discussion that we just created and now make it into a group discussion. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my people category. And this is where I go to navigate groups for my class. I've already set up 2 different groups for my class previously. And I've assigned them. There's Robbie right there in one of the groups. So I had them assigned to groups. I also had these discussion groups. Robbie was the only one in there, but I could easily, I'll show you how, if I wanted to move it and move John Smith to join Robbie, they could be a discussion group. But by going to the people tab on my navigation bar, I can go in and I can create a group set. And I can name this what I like about the groups is there are so many different options. So first of all, you could allow self-sign up where students have that opportunity that they can pick which one they want to be a part of. So this is, you might do groups for something that you provide several topics and you allow students to select which topic they're interested in and they can sign up for that. You can also, this one right here, require group members to be in the same section. It's not popping up on this particular course because they're all in the same section, but if you have a cross-listed course, many of us who teach in the College of Education at the grad level, we have both master's and EDS students who are, they have their own section, but it's cross-listed for the course. So if I wanted all the EDS students to stay together, I would select that. And if I wanted all the master students to stay together, I could select that. But this course isn't cross-listed. I could then decide how many groups that I wanted to have. So let's just say that I wanted to have 2 groups for this particular discussion board. And I could also split students into groups with so many students per group. Here's once again to be in the same section, or I'll create the groups later as you're creating them. So I could select that as well. Let's say if I'm splitting it, which means that I am manually going to create the groups. This one right here, Canvas will automatically divide the students into 2 groups as well. And this is what I actually did to cohort my class. So that way it was not all of the A through L at the beginning. In one cohort, I wanted to kind of randomize my cohorts for my class. So I actually did use the group thing to divide my groups. And then if you needed to have a student leader, you could automatically assign one where it's the first student or a random one. Most of the time I have not used that particular feature. So I'm going to just go ahead and save. It's going to create my groups. And then I can go in and I can edit this and change it. So if I wanted to have a particular thing, so this for the proposal, and we'll say that I wanted to create this group and they're going to defend one way or another. So you can see that I let it automatically assign the students into groups for me. And let's just say that that Misty, you know, she does not get along with Emily, so I might need to move her in here. So you can still, even though it assigned the groups, you can still move the students around in that particular group, and you can just, you know, kind of see. Now, if you're wanting to also visit the groups, you can see their specific page and the different assignments that they're assigned to by going to the people in the groups tab there. You can also, if you wanted to, if you have like a CSV file, you could import if you had already assigned groups outside of Canvas. But I like to just go ahead and pick groups and set up my groups in here. Now let's go in and look at how that might look for discussions. So here is my student feedback example that we just created, and it was just a regular discussion board. So let's just say that this was a video and they had to respond, you know, that they were for this proposal being taken care of or against it. So I want to assign this to a group discussion. So from here, I can select which category. And so it's really important for you to think through what you name your groups. So some of the classes that I use group discussion board, I name it whatever that specific topic is, or video or reading response that they're going to be working on. And so I'm going to choose this one because this is the one that I just set up. You could also create a new one there if you wanted to. I actually like creating it from the people tab instead of creating it here. So now it will assign them into specific groups. And so now as the instructor, if I'm going and I'm trying to see the responses for the students, I would actually select each group, and I would be able to then see the responses of that group member there. If I wanted to switch to the other group, I can then switch to the other group. And I'm going to show you an example from one that they, from another. Let me get out of, here we go. Find my thing to get out of the group thing. Let's just go back here, dashboard. Continuity. Here we go, where we see the main. I want to show you an example from the one that I assigned them back in March that they did. So you could see that I had 3 groups, and if I wanted to see the discussion from group 1, I'm able to see. So Lonnie was in this group. Emily responded to, there was Emily, and then Lonnie responded back to Emily. So I have their example there. Group 2, none of them responded. Group 3, oh, none of them responded for that one either. So anyway, I'm able to go in and kind of see how each group responds to each other for the group discussions. I'm trying to see. Okay, let's see. That one didn't respond, but it says that they're there. Okay, I thought there were responses in there. So I can see here how they've responded to each other here. And I'm able to then look at the specific group and the response says that they have for that particular group. So if you know that there are responses, like I don't know why that didn't show up for me, then if you just go back to the main dashboard, go to the course, go to your, and let's check out group 2 now. there's Julia's response, and Robbie and Julia kind of responded to each other there. So questions about group discussion. For those of you who have not used a group discussion before, how might you be able to use that in one of your courses?
You mean after we get the courage?
Yes. And Norma, you have the CTL. We can help you set up a group discussion as well.
Okay. I'll try it. You know, one of the things that I do is just try to get in and do what I'm supposed to do as much as I can, and then go away. And I know it has a lot more power to do things with it than I use, but it's intimidating in some ways because it's like, did I do it right? Did they get it? Am I supposed to send it this way? You know, but I'm doing better this semester than I was, so I'm good.
Absolutely. And it's this is why we're now digging into some of these tools a little bit more. That hey, now that more people are using Canvas, let's dig into some of this a little bit. Anyone else?
So I just want to mention on this, it's interesting because when you go up there to the switch group, Hope, it only shows you recent activity, which is why you weren't seeing it.
Thank you, Julia.
But it's interesting because on that screen, there's like nothing, like no link that I see that you can tell it to show you all.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I guess you have to go back to the discussions on the left to get to where you can see them, all of them, the responses.
Yes, but it's just the responses for that particular group. So on the left, but yeah, that's something new that I did not know about groups. I thought it would be nice and easy just to switch groups up here.
Well, and I had a question. So have you ever, when you've used this with students, have you used the threaded replies option?
I have. Because then it can you can kind of see like this one is not a threaded reply. So you can just see that it pops up. But I think the one that I have for my class that I used this semester, it's threaded reply. So I can see it kind of indents it a little bit. So that way I can see, Robbie's reply to you and then your reply back indented. But this one I did not select as a threaded reply. Great question. Anything else? Any questions, thoughts? I'm actually going to use this for a group presentations or individual presentations that students are submitting, and then kind of like a gallery walk that then students can go back and do the reply to provide some feedback to students, or thoughts or takeaways or connections that they saw to what they were talking about as well, since we all can't be face-to-face this semester.
So since you have the peer review, I know you're going to get to peer review, but since you have the peer review group option for assignments, what's the benefit of using discussions over assignments for that kind of peer review type thing that you're talking about?
So I am doing that so they can have access to all of the students' presentations and see all of them. If I use the peer review assignment feature, then they're only going to be able to see the specific students that they are assigned to. Yeah, so that's why I'm gonna open it up so everyone can see everyone's presentation. So great question. All right, so let's see, that's a little bit about groups and how you can use groups. I did have this picture, let's see. Yes, I'm trying to think during hybrid time. I was able to, if you wanted to, from the student viewpoint, I just wanted to kind of show you that students, they don't, you know, as the instructor, when you go into the discussion topic, you see all the individual groups that you've already created. However, students only see the group that they're assigned to. So they're not going to see the other, you know, groups 2 or 3 here. So I wanted to just kind of do a screenshot for you all so you could kind of see the student view of an example group discussion and how students see it as well. Okay, another tool is peer review. I know Robbie has used peer review. I have not used peer review for assignments. You can do peer review for discussions. I'm still thinking through, you know, like if you wanted them to like respond to some specific people that they have, you know, they can see everyone's discussions, but with the peer review feature, they will only respond. And I don't know, when I was digging into this, I don't know like if that shows up in the discussion for everyone else to see, or if it's just something private if you set it up as discussions. The other thing is you can also use for assignments. Now with assignments, students can do peer reviews anonymously, which we'll go into in just a minute, or you can have it where their names are showing. With discussions, you cannot do anonymous peer reviews. Peer reviews for discussion. It will show up the name of who said it. But the peer review for discussions can be added as part of a graded discussion. And unlike assignments for peer review, and I'm pulling this from Canvas directly, discussions do not allow students to complete peer reviews for students in other groups. So it has to be within the group that they're assigned for. And so I just wanted to show you in our course. So let's go back to our discussion here. And edit it, how you can, if you wanted to do peer review and discussion, then you would require peer reviews, and then you can manually or automatically, and then it will assign how many reviews that they would do. So I want them to each have 2 reviews, and then you would assign a date that comes after the date that the discussion board is actually open. So let's say that I'm going to make the peer review due the 11th. So now there will be a peer review for this discussion. And so I'm going to go over here. It would pop up. I'm going to dig into this. I don't know if anyone else has used this feature for the discussion piece. This is one that I'm going to actually have my Lipscomb Experience students demo an example for me this week. They're my guinea pigs for a few things because I will show you something that I thought might pop up here that did not. So let's go into peer review for assignments. We have helped quite a few people this semester create some peer-reviewed assignments to give feedback and to each other. So let's do peer review assignment. So you would write down all the requirements that you would want for your assignment. You would make however many points it's worth if you would like. The submission type, let's just say that we got those submission types. I'm sure we'll just go ahead and flip all these on for our assignments. Then this is where, when you're creating your assignment, that you would go in and select the peer review. Once again, you can manually assign peer reviews. So, you know, you can specifically decide who gets which peer review. You can automatically assign peer reviews. So this is where I would have that there would be 3 reviews per user or 2 reviews. And then once again, I didn't put a due date here, but let's just say that I'm going to make it due on Sunday. You can also check here where the reviews appear anonymously. So let's say that the assignment is due on the 6th. The peer reviews are going to open up on the 8th, or for them. I'm going to save and publish. And then for you as an instructor, when you actually click on the assignment, peer reviews will show up on the right-hand side if you're on a laptop. And you can see that it would pop up here. Now, if a student does not submit an assignment, it will not give them something to peer review. This was something that I actually was digging into with a faculty member yesterday. You could also automatically assign peer reviews right here if you needed to as well, but I don't have any in this. But I do have from another instructor some examples. So this was a particular instructor I've worked with this semester on setting up peer reviews. So it showed up in the assignment, and then it actually, whoops, because we're not going to actually click on any of these students, it actually showed which students had. So as the instructor, you can see, okay, even if it's anonymous, I know that Julia gave feedback to Robbie, and I could actually click on, let's say that Julia's name was here, this was Robbie's name. I could actually click on that and I could see the specific feedback that Julia has given to Robbie. And so I'm, as the instructor, I can see all the feedback that has been given. I can also see who has provided feedback or who still needs to provide feedback to the other students. Then this is what students see. So when students submit, it will show them that they have submitted their assignment, and it will show them that these are the peer reviews that they are assigned to do. If you are letting them see who they're assigning some feedback to. If you're doing it anonymously, then it will show up anonymous user. And once they have their feedback from a person, they can select view the rubric evaluation to be able to dig in and see the feedback that was provided for them. So this is a great option to let students, you know, kind of give that feedback to each other. And it may be that, you know, one of the things that I would recommend is that, you know, you kind of work with students and like, what is effective feedback, and sharing, you know, those tips for success before actually assigning, and kind of what the guidelines are that you're looking for. If you have a rubric for the assignment, you know, you can upload that rubric and students can give that feedback. Let's see if I have, here's what it looks like from the student view of some of the feedback. They can see this. Now, if it's anonymous, the student will not see who that name is, but you will see who the name is as the instructor. And then the students could actually select the view the feedback to be able to go in and see the feedback assigned to them as well. A couple of things that I picked up when kind of looking at the peer review is that the reviewer cannot see the name of the assigned person whose work is to be reviewed. And the student who submitted the assignment cannot view names associated with any comments. So if you are going to do an anonymous, you know, thinking through, like if they put their name on the actual, like on their handouts, or whatever they've submitted, to just, you know, kind of have them leave that off if you're going to do it anonymously. Email notifications are sent to students about peer reviews are anonymous. And once a peer review has been assigned, the viewing setting cannot be changed. So for instance, a regular peer review cannot later be made anonymous and appear anonymous unless the peer review is deleted and reassigned. So you can't go in and do some changing there. But like I said, you as the instructor, you are able to see everyone's response and the type of feedback that they have. Now, if you are wanting to actually give a grade or credit or points or something for them actually doing peer reviews, then you have to create a separate assignment for that. So the assignment for actually submitting is 1 grade, but if you actually want to give like credit for doing the peer reviews, that would be another grade that you can do. So that's something that doesn't actually show up right away for that. Now, Robbie mentioned that she's used this peer review feature before. And Robbie, anything in specifically that, tips, tricks that you all have come across with using this?
Not yet. We're still, working through it. This is the first time that we've used the feature. I mean, one of the biggest issues is getting timely feedback to peers. And we're still, struggling with how to make sure that that happens.
Yeah, and so that's the conversation that I had with a faculty member earlier this week, is that a student didn't submit a peer review or assignment on time, and so that person didn't have anybody to review. So like figuring out your due dates of, you have to have it submitted by this time, and then the peer review process will pop up and send you an email notification on this time. So you've got to be really clear on the, kind of those due dates for that. You can go in and, let's say a student did turn in an assignment or peer review late, you could go in and add somebody to them, but it sometimes doesn't have the same effect. But if maybe there's a couple of people who submitted late, you could have them, swap with each other. So you as the instructor could go in and hit that little plus button and add in there as well. Anyone else use the peer review, or if you haven't, ways that you might consider using it? I know Julia mentioned like giving like some feedback to each other on like their class presentations.
Hope, I'll say what I'm thinking about doing.
Okay.
This is Beth. I usually do some sort of in-class kind of speed round peer review right at the end, so that students are preparing for a final paper and they've already submitted an outline to me. But the speed round is where they can submit their outline for their paper a couple weeks in advance to a couple of peers, and the peers are supposed to listen to how they kind of say what they're going to write about, how they present their outline, and then provide more questions, feedback, tips, tricks, what they would add. It's a way to get more feedback into your paper way before you write it. And I may do that using this tool this time, just completely through Canvas, since we'll all be remote after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's great.
So that might be a way to get the feedback.
Yeah. So
rather than using Zoom.
Right. Exactly. And that's what the instructor that I worked with earlier this semester, he had a term 1 night class, and they were working on their possible essays for like applying to medical school. And so he wanted them to provide multiple opportunities to have feedback. And so he did the peer review. So he set up the initial one, and he actually, set it up to where during the actual class time, even if they weren't there physically, they were all on, they could be on Zoom, but they could go into Canvas and provide the feedback that night. And then a couple of weeks later, he did another round of peer review, letting them take that feedback that they had given each other to kind of improve the assignment if possible, and then do another round of feedback. So it's a great way to kind of also scaffold. So if you have a major project and there are little pieces throughout the entire semester just letting do, you know, small little pieces throughout. And thinking of you, Norma, when you're talking about like, I'm just going to do what I need to do and get in and out, not hurt anyone. You know, maybe do a smaller low stakes practice if you wanted to do peer review of something before it got to some type of like major assignment as well.
I'll try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that you're willing to try as well.
Yeah, I will.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? I may do this for one of the grad classes I'm teaching right now, and they're for College of Ed. They're creating kind of working on a key assignment, and we have a synchronous Zoom meeting scheduled before they submit their final, but also doing a peer review and using this tool as an opportunity for them to just kind of think through their ideas for their final plan that they're creating for the key assignment for the course. So that way they can kind of build off of each other as well. But anyway, I'm excited about some possibilities that maybe I can use peer review for. All right, so the last tool I want to talk about are collaborations. And this is the one that I have not used at all. And the reason why I haven't used it at all, like I do have students, they can collaborate in my class using Google Docs or presentations or slides, but I usually just do the external link within the module that we're doing for that week, and they can just go in and select it there. But digging into collaborations, I was actually, let's see, I think this may be my actual last slide and actually go in here. I was actually kind of interested in looking at this. So collaborations is on the navigation bar. And so you decide whether or not you want it to have to be available on the settings for your course. But what can happen is that you can use collaborations to have multiple users work together on the same document at the same time. So instead of doing the external URL, I could actually create, and I'm going to actually create one now. Example, if I could type. There we go. And I'm going to, you can do this where you have specific people are collaborating, or you can assign specific groups to collaborate as well. So on this one, I'm going to add Robbie, I'm going to add Julia, and I'm going to add myself on this one because we're in here. Going to think about it. The first time that you go in, it'll have that you need to access and set up your Google Drive access. And it will show up. So if I now on my collaborations page, it will show up and you can start a new collaboration, and anything that you're collaborating on will show up in this collaborations piece. So if you have, so as the instructor of the course, I could set up a collaborative doc. So I have my students, you know, collaborate on some of the reading responses that we've done in class, and I could set it up right here instead of doing the external URL, and they just know to go to that collaborations button and select the one for the day. But the other thing is that students can create the collaborations as well. So if you assign a group, then this is a great place where they can go in and they can select the people in their group or their group number and or group assignment, and they can create one that then shows up. And they can put all their notes for their group project or their timeline or what they're all working on within that collaborative doc. And I don't know, like I said, I've not actually used this before. This is my first time, and I don't know Robbie and Julia. Oh, yep, Robbie's there. Okay. I was going to say if this shows up for you. And what's great is that if students create collaborative docs for each other, like they can only the students that they've given permission to be into that collaborative doc can see it, not the other students in the group, but you as the instructor can see all of the collaborations that have been created for your course. So being able to go in there and share, there we go. We got all of us in here. The document is housed in the Google Drive for the particular person who created it. Boom, there you go. Oh, look at that. Excellent.
Yeah, that's the email I got.
Oh, I love that.
And the link at the bottom where it says you can see the details here, that link is what actually took me to the doc.
Excellent. Hey, I'm so glad that I have you all here so we can actually show this. So this is great. Because I have not used this collaborations feature in Canvas. I've just created links, but I love this as a place where now students could use it for, if they're trying to work on a group project or a study group, because in groups, students can make their own study groups as well if they want to. So they could come to the collaborations document and kind of think through what that looks like for them. You under the collaborations, so I did Google Docs for that first one, but you can also connect to Google Apps and have students do a spreadsheet or a presentation as well. So I have students sometimes work together on a presentation. So I'm able to go in and I can do a presentation. And once again, I'm going to select Julia and I'm going to select Robbie. And I'm going to hit submit, maybe. Well, I'm not going to. For some reason, it's not going to let me. I don't know. I have to. This is when we try something and it doesn't work.
Do you have to give it a name? Up there with name and description.
Okay. Thank you. I love teamwork. There we go. And then it pops up. Fabulous. So I need to authorize it. Boom, there it is. There is now our collaborative presentation popping up. And so then once again, now you can see that I have this and I can go into the details as the instructor and find out who else will be collaborating on this as well. So anyway, I'm kind of excited to dig into collaborations a little bit because I've not used that. Anyone else think through ways you might be able to use this?
So I'm just thinking about all my doctoral work and how many collaborative projects there are in that program. And this would have been really helpful.
Yeah.
Just to have this space.
Yeah, it's not really like, it may not necessarily be students providing feedback to each other, but when I saw this collaborations of students working together, I'm like, wow, like I have not myself had an opportunity to kind of explore this tool. So, and also thinking about like the projects, like for me, like there are so many things that have the same name in my Google Drive. So sometimes finding it, but if I had it within a specific course, if it was related to a course, I think would be really beneficial for myself, because my Google Drive's out of control right now.
You know, this semester, because of being remote, I've used Google Docs probably more than I have even before, because when they go to breakout rooms, then I have like a Google Doc where they all go to, and then they add in information for their group. And I'm just wondering if this might be an easy way to do that.
Yeah, I've done the same thing for when I've cohorted and I have some remote and some in the classroom, and they're paired, they have small groups, and I have created a Google Doc for them, to access, but I've added the link within the module But if I just train them to all go to collaborations and find the one for the specific day, I think it might be a little bit easier. Because for the ones in the classroom, I've actually created like a URL shortener so that, you know, and then just shared the link for those who are remote. And so it's a lot of extra things on myself as the instructor that I've had to do to think through of making sure that they all have access to the document. And I thought, wow, that collaborations would have been great if I would have known that it was there and labeled. And then they could see all of the collaborations that we've done for the entire, you know, semester in one place. Anyone else thinking about this collaborations or any of these other tools and way, you know, something else you may think about using it, any of them for?
Is it possible to have Canvas pages that aren't linked to a class? Like I'm thinking about graduate students who might be working on things across semesters or research projects or just other things that might not be, you know, semester bound in one class. Can we create other Canvas pages?
I don't think necessarily the Canvas pages are going to like be specifically within that course, but there might be something like in Google that you create that can be used across, you know, multiple semesters. Julie, anything I'm missing on that from your perspective? Yeah, because I think each Canvas page is tied to that specific Canvas course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know that some programs, I'm thinking of like grad programs, and specifically they have some courses that are 0 credit hours that have been created by the university that span multiple semesters that then, you know, like say a research project or something where they can have access to that. All right. Well, once again, thank you all so much for jumping in and kind of digging in a little bit deeper to some of the tools in Canvas. Like I said, I learned some new things going through and digging into these. And we're going to be, Julie and I have been talking about for the spring semester, some additional kind of deep dives into some additional things in Canvas. So we hope that you'll join us for those as well.
Yeah, and I just would like to say, if anybody has specific things, like I'd really like a session on this, you know, then just be sure to email that to ctl@lipscomb.edu.
Yes. Yep. Because we will gladly build out things that faculty want. So thank you all so much and have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you.
Joe, I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you got to keep it simple this semester, you know, some things. And Bill, I tell people, you know, how do you get an elephant through the door? One bite at a time. So start small, start with one thing and it's like, oh, I'm going to do that this semester. So I know my own courses, I add something every time I teach. So I don't have it all. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.